Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here and show off my Neutron Capture Harlowe build that I do believe to be the strongest build going for her while using Neutron Capture. So let's get into it. So we are using Cyclotron for the 20% fire rate. What's nice about fire rate is the faster you're shooting, the more DPS, and that's just going to be more damage overall. So we're also using Field Ready Prototype for the action skill damage by 30%. This is going to go into our Neutron Capture. So the more action skill damage we're dealing is going to make that 4% deal a lot more damage, and that would be a lot more damage overall. Bleeding Edge, 1 point, you do not need this, this is preferable. I've only got 1 point in here for the 5% reload speed, but you could put this in elementary. I've only got 1 point in here though, so we can get down to Enriched. It's going to give us 21% radiation damage. I'm also using Practical Application, so this is going to give us more skill damage by 21%. You can go 5 out of 5, I've gone 3 out of 5, and there is a reason why, and I will show you in a bit. We're using Mechanical Brilliance, 5 out of 5, because this is going to give us, whenever we damage an enemy with a skill, we will gain increased skill damage by 10%, and it can stack up to 50%, meaning we're going to be dealing 50% more skill damage on top of the 30% we're already dealing, so that's already 80%. That is already ridiculous. So then we're also using Poison Sun. We're going to gain increased radiation damage and irradiation chance by 30% damage and 60% chance. And that's going to also go into Neutron Capture because that's more radiation damage. Chain Reactor. So we will be dealing bonus radiation damage to entangled enemies. And we're going to be entangling them a lot of the time because of our capstone. But we will be dealing 18% more damage to them. We've also got Thistle Launcher with 2 points. So whenever we damage an irradiated enemy or an entangled enemy, will shoot out an irradiation dart on another enemy, dealing 2100 damage. This can also radiate the enemy, meaning we're going to get this effect off there. I've also got 1 point Dirty Bomb, 1 point off my class mod, but you do not need that. But most of the time it will be dealing 40% damage whenever we irradiate an enemy, and it will create a radiation explosion. Our capstone, Demon Core. So whenever it travels, it will shoot out radiation darts at enemies, and whenever Harlowe entangles an enemy with her action skill is active, automatically irradiate that enemy. So instantly applying Chain Reactor, and because these darts are shooting out their action skill damage, so we will be dealing more action skill damage overall, meaning our Chroma Accelerator doesn't directly need to hit these enemies, just passing them and these darts coming out and hitting them will be dealing action skill damage, meaning as soon as we detonate it, we will be dealing even more damage. I just want to top over Green Tree quick because I've tried it. I just want to say I have tried it. I don't like it. You seem to have to invest too many points to get even a decent amount of damage out of it, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are using it, but it just doesn't work for me, and I feel like you can get a lot more out of Bl4. So let's go over to that. So we are using Make Extraordinary. So this gains critical hit chance with all skills, and it increases every time we entangle an enemy, and it stacks. It's got a base of critical hit chance by 10%, and an additional critical hit chance of 5%, and it's got a max of 10 stacks. And obviously the nice thing about this is our action skill being able to critically hit means we'll be getting more damage off of our action skill, and then off of detonation going back into our Neutron Capture. We're also using 1 point into negative entropy to get down to precision engineering. This is what I'm talking about. You do not necessarily need. I just prefer this way. And it will give critical hit damage of 30%. But you could take 2 points out of here and you could put them right into practical applications if you wanted to get more skill damage. But you do not need this. We have also got Bright Future. Whenever we trigger or re-trigger an action skill, we will gain increased fire rate by 30% for 8 seconds. Going with the more fire rate we have, this is already 50%, meaning we can dish out a lot more bullets, and that isn't even the last of the fire rate we are getting. I've also got Ripple Effect. Whenever Harlowe kills an entangled enemy, we will automatically entangle another nearby enemy. This is going to work well with Chain Reactor and a few of the other skills we have, because we'll be getting higher damage on them and just better results overall. I will go into specializations now. You can mess around with these if you want. None of this is all perfect. These are just kind of the preferences, and some of it is just handy to have. So we've got Brute for gun damage, Sharpshooter. It's where the gun reload speed and the accuracy isn't necessarily needed, but it's nice. You're going to need it to get down to Daredevil and Killer. Runner, if it's going to give us a little bit of movement speed, but we don't necessarily need this either. The big ones are going to be Daredevil and Killer. The good thing about Daredevil is we will be getting the action skill cooldown rate by 15%. The other good thing is we're getting Now with Caffeine and a Honed Mind. Now with Caffeine is preferable, but you might prefer something else, and a Honed Mind is something you want for the action skill critical hit chance and the critical hit damage by 50%, but is going to be huge for this build. Also got Contamination. This will grant a status effect application chance by 10%, and it stacks up to 10 times, so that will be 100%. So you do want to go for that as well. And the other thing I've got is In the Zone. This is going to give us 5% damage, and gun damage and critical hit damage. Also 5%, it can stack up to 5 times, 25% for both overall, while we're aiming. But I do want to get Riddle You this at some point. I feel like this would be better overall because you will get 50% damage when we're dealing gun damage. And it will, yeah, like I said, 50% more. That is pretty ridiculous. We will go over the inventory now. We're using Katagawa's Revenge. I used it quite a bit, but I don't tend to much anymore because a few of these two weapons especially outclass it in my opinion. And getting the rolls on this thing can be hard. I spent quite a while going after it. I know a few people might have it, and it's also not for everyone. But with a Jacob's roll, the way this is going to work is when you hit an enemy, it shoots out 3 orbs. With the Jacob's roll, when you land a critical hit, it will shoot out 6 orbs, doubling your damage overall. And it can blitz bosses, it can. The other thing is the Kyason. This weapon can be really good. I do enjoy it, but I do want one in Radiation Element. I feel like that could be really good, but nonetheless the Kyason is really powerful. Just do try to get one in Radiation. I have gone after it for God knows how many times. I've got about 30, and one of them has been Cryo, so I don't know if that's just bad luck, but yeah. The Convergence, this weapon can be pretty crazy because the multiple pellets, when it lands on the target, it's a bunch of pellets like swarm in, and it can destroy bosses. It's good with high caliber, I believe. I think I've seen it somewhere. I'm not using high caliber. It doesn't seem to change much for me, but I have heard it's done numbers for some people. And one of the craziest weapons we're using is this Ripper purple shotgun, the Hellbound. I picked it up a few days ago, and I wanted to give it a go, and it exceeded my expectations. It has been doing some crazy work. I'm going to make my own video on this because it's been putting out more damage than the Convergence and the Katagawa's Revenge, in my opinion. I've removed the enhancement and tried it and just gone all these weapons, and this thing's been doing some ridiculous numbers. So yeah, do pick one up for yourselves. Do not leave it, do not bank it, do not junk it. Use it. For our rep kit, we preferably want one that's going to boost our damage. So I've got one with Enrage for the 30% damage, and Elemental Affinity giving us more elemental damage by 25% and 30%. So you want mostly the damage ones you're looking out for. And for some gameplay, I am using a legendary one that is going to convert 100% of any excess damage into healing orbs that seek out nearby enemies. This also has Enrage in it, so I can get more damage, but it is good for mobbing because I'll be getting more health back. I'm also using the knife. The knife is not needed. I assure you the knife is really not needed. I use it just for the faster clearing times, but it is optional if you have one. I suggest you do, but if you don't enjoy it, then don't use it. You do not need it for this build, I promise you. For our bossing, we will be using the Atomic Driver. This is because it's going to amp our Chroma Accelerator. I'm not sure by how much, but it does it enough that we can blitz bosses, blitz them. The other option is the Practical Skeptic. This can also do, it destroys bosses as well, but I use this mostly for mobbing because the top half is useless, but the bottom half of this chart is good, because whenever we shoot enemies with an active status effect, we will restore 5% of our action skill cooldown. And with a lot of the weapons we are using, like say radiation SMGs for example, you're going to get your action skill back in no time, and you can just keep spamming your action skill really. But when it comes to boss fights, I'm using the Atomic Driver just because it's going to amp it up a lot more, meaning our action skill is going to do a lot more damage when we detonate it, and it converts back into our damage that 4% will be even bigger. Super Soldier. Super Soldier is something I'm using for most of my gameplay because of the 25% fire rate and the regen in 1 ammo per second, and the movement speed is nice to have. It's just handy, but I've got a Vagabond roll with more movement speed, but this is just preferable, you don't need it. But for a lot of gameplay I am also using the Fireworks Shield, because these will shoot out missiles that can do some ridiculous damage and they can kill a lot of enemies without you even realising. So I suggest you pick one up as well. They're not hard to get, you can get this one at Splash Zone, and this one is from Vile Lictor. For enhancements, I'm using Torg, as well as Vladof ones and Jacob's ones. Jacob's ones you want with the ricochets. This is going to go well with Katagawa's Revenge. A Vladof one, where is it? It's the one I use. There we go. You want one with bullet hose and preferably gun damage or gun critical damage. It's multiplicative. But the bullet hose one's going to be huge for us because guns with Vladof licensed parts have a 30% chance to add an extra projectile per shot. And 30% isn't the highest, but with the amount of pellets we are putting out, we will be putting out a lot more pellets. And the Torg one, where is it? You just preferably want, there we go, one with gun damage. I haven't, like, the actual enhancement part on it, I haven't found anything crazy. I don't know if it's changing much for me, I need to try it out more. But one with gun damage or, yeah, splash damage as well would be nice, but you don't really need to worry about the actual part on it. And we are also using bullets to spare and Deadeye. Most of the time I'm using 2 out of 3 on Deadeye for the critical hit damage plus 25%. But for most of it we have definitely got bullets to spare. It's going to give us gunfire rate by 5% on the first. Second, it's going to give us magazine size by 20%. And on the third, we will get increased fire rate by 50% of our gun magazine size, meaning we can dish out even more bullets, meaning we can deal even more damage overall when we detonate our Chroma Accelerator, going back into our Neutron Capture, meaning that 4% goes to a few thousand damage to up to sometimes a few million damage. But yeah, that is the build, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, guys.